are alive with the hills are alive jokes, as we travel to Austria for round 9 of the 2017 Formula 1 season. The weekend started backwards for a few teams as they got acclimatized to the Red Bull ring, but things began to proceed more smoothly after that, with Kimi Räikkönen nearly committing a hit and run, and Fernando Alonso playing around with a blowtorch. The curbs would continue to be problematic this year, as Kevin Magnussen snapped his suspension during qualifying. The issues for Haas would continue later on, as Romain Grosjean stopped on turn 3 at the end of the third session, while Max Verstappen had a scary trip to the gravel at the same time. Pole position went to Valtteri Bottas, his second of the year and his career. The rest of the top 10 are Vettel, Räikkönen, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Grosjean, Perez, Hamilton with a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change, Ocon, and Sainz. Both Williams drivers are starting way back in 17th and 18th, while Pascal Wehrlein is, you guessed it, starting from the pits. Martin Brundle didn't partake in his usual grid walk ritual for some reason, given that he was present at the track in physical form. It's not a big deal, not like before, but I kinda missed him still. Hopefully this won't be an issue in future races. Not to be pedantic or anything, but it's quite ironic that you're holding up that sign while wearing Ferrari shirts. Just saying. Sometimes you just need to run away from your problems and lay down on the green hills for some peace and quiet, listening to the tweet of the birds and turbocharged engines with 1000 horsepower. But now that I look at it, that seems like kind of a hostile territory for that guy. I'm gonna need a lot of bleach to wash this image away. The 2017 Austrian Grand Prix is go, and Sergio Perez gives Lewis Hamilton a hard time off the line as he edges the Mercedes out with no success, while behind him, Fiat tangles with Alonso, who gets pushed into Verstappen, sending the Dutchman into a spin. Multiple drivers go wide on turn 1 to avoid the confusion, and Ricciardo pushes Räikkönen wide on turn 2 to take second place. And that's basically where the race ended, but we're not cop-outs here, so we're gonna soldier on. I may be what you call a quote-unquote hater of Verstappen, but I have to feel for him here. Yet again, he has problems outside of his control. I'm gonna have to talk to the Brazilian Jinxing Council about this. They're going way overboard with this stuff. I once again request the rescue of Fernando Alonso from these terrible perils that haunt him and McLaren.
I think he jumped the start.
Say what now? No, buddy, he's clean. You're just complaining for the sake of complaining here. See? Even the graphics agree with me. For once, Fwonk and I are on the same page. Unbelievable!
Are there any damage?
Yeah, a lot of damage on the rear end. I don't know why they push me so much, they cannot play bowling.
Daniel got himself a pretty nifty strike with you and Max there. He makes it look easy. Well, this is as good as we could ask for anyway. Haha, someone at Funk has a sense of humor. This person deserves a free round of beer. Come on, buddy, a sense of humor doesn't mean you can be cruel to people. Still a good one, though. This year's eternal game of cat and mouse prolongs itself to mind-numbing levels. There's just nothing happening here. I'm clutching at straws. The podium at Baku must have done the Canadian son a lot of good. He just shows up out of nowhere in 10th. And Felipe is in 9th too. What a lovely sight. Formula 1 tires are like onions. They have layers, and they make you cry when they're cut open. Whether it's joy or sadness depends on how you feel about the driver. Even F1 themselves are starting to acknowledge that Kimi is pretty much a non-factor outside of team radio. You might as well be filming vertically! This is getting out of control!
So, and Stroll keeping Magnussen at bay. That's the closest fight on the track at the moment. Kevin Magnussen.
You are technically right. Just putting this here so we can close the book on this case. Now we can move on. Move on, he says. Magnussen is fuming at not being able to pass Stroll. Just like in the cartoons.
Yeah, because you blow the gear.
Oh man, I just cannot believe this. Fuck this.
Okay, have a look to the traffic behind the box, Kevin box.
That is gonna come off the bleeper's salary. Amongst all the boredom, a light at the end of the tunnel for McLaren fans. Have this treat, for I feel nice today. Jesus, the camera nearly took a boot to the face! It's the cameraman's fault though. You could almost see through the mechanic from where he was.
Is everything okay? Am I being investigated?
Negative. That's for Van Dorn.
The mind games are getting heavy this year. Hamilton's going paranoid. The internet rejoices for a fleeting moment as Kimi Räikkönen takes the lead of the race, while Jolyon Palmer does something useful for once in his life and holds up Valtteri Bottas for a little bit. Forgive me, father, for I used to be a Max Verstappen fan. Carlos Sainz retires from the race and is dragged back to the evil clutches of perpetual career stillness. Every time Marchionni shows up, Ferrari seems to be lagging behind. I tell him to go away if he didn't literally own the team. Now that looks like a fight I can be heavily invested in. Until, of course, Bottas comes in to ruin everything again. Thanks for nothing, Valtteri! If there is one thing we can all definitely agree on, is that Räikkönen is terrible at getting around back markers. It's like his brain stops working for a split second.
I do hope, Martin, that if he offers you a shoe in a few moments' time, you should be taking that shoe from him.
No! 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 Will you stop encouraging this despicable behavior?
It's coming your way. 10 laps to go in this race.
Come on, Lewis.
They're not even trying to hide their bias anymore! Have you no shame, Martin?
I had a little drop of rain into turn 9. Just a little one.
I will not let myself be tempted by rain at the end of the race. It's the worst type of tease because it never comes!
The only other thought from down here, Martin, you know there is a way to look like you're participating in a shoey, but not actually let any of the champagne go into your mouth. Just put the shoe up to your lips, stick your tongue out, and then it all dribbles down the side.
Oh,
That's my top tip.
that'd be very sticky and messy on the plane going home, though.
And how did you find that out, Ted?
Just, experiments I try at home. But it'll ruin whoever's jacket you're borrowing for the podium. I'm sorry about that.
I knew there was a reason Ted was still my favorite. He thinks the right way. He's the brains of the team. The fact that Perez is acting as a wall here is quite ironic. It's too bad I passed out from meningitis at this part of the race because I would have loved to watch this. And in the end, Valtteri Bottas wins the 2017 Austrian Grand Prix, his second victory of his career, with Sebastian Vettel closely behind in second, followed by Ricciardo and Hamilton also very much at each other's throats. Grosjean finishes a pretty cool 6th place, and the Williams climb from the depths of hell to grab the last 2 points positions. I could really use a strudel right now. These last bits got me kinda hungry. It's just a win, Fwonk. Don't make a big deal about it.
Yeehaw! Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, boys! Yeah! Nice job, mate. Excellent. Very good.
I see Ricciardo's make use of the primal screen method. It won't take very long until a nag plant emoji shows up on that.
Now, I haven't been up on the podium since you started your shoey stuff, so, I hope you're not going to deny me the honour, as long as I can keep it, for charity as well.
Why someone would ever voluntarily ask for a shoey will always be beyond me. Now this is just sadistic, but still pretty funny. He casually drinks it like a cocktail. What? Martin Brundle, what have you done? This was clearly not the most exciting of races, but it went by in a flash, which is the upside when these things happen. Always try to look at the positive points, I say. Even when sickness keeps you bedridden and knocks you out 3/4 of the way through the race. But anyway, that doesn't really matter anymore. What matters is, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you on the next race.
What a glorious race.
Glorious!